Hey guys, it's Morgan. So today I just wanted to talk about some study tips for physics, which is primarily for pre-med students. Pre-PA students do not have to take physics, they take anatomy and physiology instead. So yeah, let's jump right into the video. So number one tip, which this goes for any class that I'll talk about, and it'll always be my number one tip, is to actively learn. So I explain this in my tips for acing your biology classes, which I will leave linked down below. So active learning means that you're constantly challenging the information as it's being presented to you. So when you're in lecture, you are actively thinking about it. You're not just copying it down, not paying attention to what you're doing. It's listening to what's being told to you, coming up with questions on the spot, writing them down, going back after class and trying to find them in the textbook or going to office hours or whatever. And it means that when you're studying for a class, you are actively studying, actively learning again. You're not just copying things down over and over and over again, not paying attention to what you're writing. That's just rote memorization, and some classes that might help, but when you need to truly understand material, it's not going to help you. And for this class, it is a lot of math, it's a lot of problems, but understanding the concepts behind the problems will help you tremendously in solving them. So now tip number 2 for acing your physics class is to utilize office hours. So I know that this varies a lot from school to school. I happen to go to a pretty large university where we have a ton of office hours between the 3 professors that teach this course, and then we have 5 TAs that lead the discussion sessions of the course. So between all of that, I think it's a total of somewhere between 25 and 30 hours per week that someone is in an office ready to answer your questions and help you. And I am guilty, especially this semester with all my extracurriculars that I'm working on, which I have a ton this semester. I'm guilty of not utilizing that. So now that one of my extracurriculars kind of winding down a little bit, I'm definitely going to kick that up into high gear. And office hours helps so much. A lot of times it ends up being a one-on-one session, which to have that for free offered to you is really amazing. So you can go in, you can bring any practice questions that you just couldn't figure out, concepts that when you're sitting in class and they're like, any questions? And you're just staring at the board like, yeah, everything, what even is that? Anything. Or maybe you bring your test with you and you go over questions that you didn't understand because they're going to pop back up on the final. These are all great ways to utilize office hours, and that's probably one of the biggest things you can do for this course, because you see a lot of repetition in problems. They might look different, but at its very core, there are only so many different types of problems per concept that they can ask you. So mastering them is really essential to doing well, so you can get the problems right in the future. So tip number 3 is do as many practice problems as possible. So you go through your textbook. I know my textbook, we use the Giancoli 7th edition textbook, which I know is a really popular textbook for universities to use. They have a ton of questions. In the chapter, they have questions with the written out solutions that go along with them, which is awesome. And then they have up to 100 questions at the back, at the end of each chapter, which is great. Do as many as you can get your hands on. I've noticed that the tests where I do as many questions as possible, like just keep going through them, and also important is that when you go through them, if you get it wrong, or even if you get it right, sometimes you can get things right and you have no idea how, understand why you got it wrong or understand why you got it right. Because you're just doing a ton of problems or you're doing them constantly wrong and having no idea what you're doing, it's not really going to help you. Little side tidbit. But do as many as you can, and like I said, I noticed that the tests where I did as many questions as I could get my hands on and figured out why I was doing questions right, why I was doing them wrong, are the tests that I did the best on. So that's really important. And again, back to the office hours, if you keep getting them wrong and you have no idea why, you don't understand what you're doing, go to office hours. Your professors are there to help you. So another tip is, and I know a lot of people might not like this tip, this is really, I mean, anything about studying is up to personal preference, but this is something that's really kind of touch and go with some people. So again, number 4 tip is form a study group. I typically like to study on my own. I find that that works best for me. I get the most out of it. I'm the most efficient when I have my own study schedule that I stick to on my own. But for this particular class, because it is so many problems, and I feel that because of less memorization, which I personally feel that memorization is a solo study type of thing, that problems are things you can do together. Or you could say, okay, now do question number 17. When you're done, go over it. Guarantee you one person in the group is going to understand it really well, maybe more if you're all doing really well. And you can just help each other. And a lot of times, the best explanations I've gotten are from another student because they get what it's like to just be introduced to the material just there. You know, they're not a professor who has been doing this for years and years and knows like the back of their hand. They were just taught it also, so they know how to explain it in a way that will click. So I think that study groups really help for this class. And for my last tip, and this goes for pretty much any class, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in my How to Ace Your Biology class video, but if I didn't, sorry, here it is now. Use Khan Academy videos. Khan Academy videos are a lifesaver. They are so good. Actually, the AAMC, which is basically the pre-med association, I think they're in charge of medical schools as well. That's what you'll be applying to medical school through. But they actually partnered with Khan Academy and I guess sponsor them or make them the official source for MCAT review. So I would definitely check them out. They know their stuff. They explain it in such concise, clear, easy to understand ways. And I absolutely love Khan Academy. I use it for all of my classes. It always helps me, has never failed me. Definitely check out Khan Academy, and I will link the website down below for their physics page, but they have a page for any pre-med prerequisite course as well as many other courses, so I would definitely check that out. So yeah, those are my main tips for physics to do well in the class. I hope you found it very helpful, and if you have anything that you'd like to add, please comment down below, or if you have any questions or requests or anything like that, leave everything down below. Thanks guys, have a good one.